session video. Inside that session will be there. Session what I have taken, I have moved it there. I think you might have got notification also. You just check it there, you will find it. So first of all, what is combined reducers? What is combined reducer and why do we use it? What is combined reducer? So in our application, we use Redux because we want to simplify the data parsing between components. And if I wanted to send any data to the store, I have to dispatch it. And whenever I dispatch it, it will be passed through reducer. And if we have so many dispatchers, handling all the dispatches in single reducer will make it more complicated. That's why we can split the reducer into multiple reducers and we can combine it using combined reducer. That is what combined reducer is. And what is Redux Thunk? Thunk is called as a middleware. If you install Redux Thunk, Redux gains the ability to dispatch functions also. That function internally dispatches other options. Let's hold on for a moment. Okay, as you said, TDX thunk is useful to dispatch methods. If you don't use thunk, you can dispatch plain objects only, but if you use thunk, you can dispatch methods. That method will internally dispatch objects. That's what TDX thunk is. And today, we are going to work on JSON web token, and we are going to work on .env. First of all, we will look it into this .env. What is this .env? Any guesses? What is this .env? So basically, .env is helpful to separate the secret information within our code in a separate file. Separate file. Secret information like passwords. Now, if I wanted to connect to MongoDB, password I have to give. Or if I wanted to connect to database, password I have to use. Those kind of sensitive information, you can keep it inside this DNV file and you can use it. Just to show you an example, let me open one of the existing projects. I'm just using this login and you navigate. Let me run this. Okay. So I'm running the client application and I will also run the server application. Database is already running because I have started the application server. So this is our application. If I click on login, it is allowing us to enter into this what we have worked in the last session, one of our views. Now what we are going to work on, we are going to work on .env. .env means now observe here, if I open the code in the node.js, server.js, if I open the code, now it's see here. here user root is there, password root is there, database area 48889. This is actually the details about the database to connect it. But this is some sensitive information which I don't want to keep it in the code. I want it to maintain it in a separate file. Then .env will be helpful. Now let us see. I'd say .env, .npm. .env is a zero dependency module that loads environment variables from a .env file into process.env. Storing configuration in the environment separate from the code is based on call factor app methodology. That means basically now what I can do, I can create a environment file. I can create a file called .env. In that env file we call it as environment file. I can create variables and variable value, and these values I can use it in our code. So basically all the sensitive information I can store it in this environment file, which we don't give access to everyone to use. Just to give you an example, first of all, I am installing .env. How I say npm install .env. So what I will do, I will come here, say the npm install .env. I am installing .env package. After installing .env package, what I will do, I will say config. I have to say config. That means now I will be like this. Constant .env is equal to require .env. Then I'll say .env dot config. I have configured this .env. Now what I am going to do, I am going to create a file. I am going to create a file and say .env. We call it as environment file. We call it as environment file. In this file, I can keep the sensitive information. That means what database name, password. I wanted to make it as a sensitive information. I wanted to keep in separate file. What I will do, I'll say db password equal to 2. This is the password I have given. I can do like db password is the variable name I have created in the environment file, and 2 is the value. And now what I will do, here to access it, I will say instead of root like this, I will say process dot env dot db password. Process dot env dot db password. Process dot env means referring to the environment file, and that environment file has a variable name db password, which the value is. Now, if I run the application, still it should work. Still should be able to connect to database. See, it is still connecting to database. So what is actually happening here? I haven't mentioned the password. I have mentioned the name of the variable referring to that environment file. Even database name also I can give db name is equal to Air India. Air India I'm giving. After here I am not giving any codes here, and I'll give port 889. The db port the db host local. have given the sensitive information into this environment file, and I will use it here. Post, I will say process dot env dot db. Then user db user. So db user, I will say process dot env dot db. Then here I will say process dot env dot db. Here process dot env dot db. So I have done this. So all that sensitive information I have moved to this environment file, and this environment file I am accessing using process.env dot the variable names I have given it. Now I still should be able to connect it to, see, connect it to database. It is working. Just to give you an example, here I will change the password to something else. So one I have changed it. It should not work now. Just to stop it. Run. See, unable to connect to database. That means it is picking from this one. I will give root again. Stop it and I will run it. Connected to. So basically, if you want any URLs, any sensitive information, you wanted to separate it from code, this .env will be. We will be creating the environment file, and we will be mentioning the variables and its values. And remember here, we are not using any codes here. And how do we access these values? Using process.env dot in the name of the. Even if I am using MongoDB also will have the URL, right? URL will have password. That also I can keep it here. MongoDB connection string URL or something you can create it. And you can, the code that the passwords will be safe. This is one thing we wanted to cover. And another thing is JSONWebToken. Another thing is JSONWebToken. What is JSONWebToken? Any idea? JSONWebToken means, here token in the sense it's like a password. Token is like a password. Now it is like this. Just to give you an example, I am clicking on pulse.here.com, and username is showing, password is showing. This can be done using local storage. We have discussed about this earlier. But observe here, I will type gmail.com. Is it asking username or password? No, it is not asking. It is directly taking to that email. And I haven't entered username and the password, then how come they know that I am Manjula, that it is alive? Already I have logged in earlier. They are maintaining some details about it. That is basically WebToken. That is basically JSON. What exactly is this? The normal way of logging into application. The normal way of logging into application is we have the login screen. We have the enter the username, enter the password like that. Initially, people enter username and people enter password and click on login button. Click on login button where user enters. We wanted to simplify it a bit further. So we can use a local storage where what user has entered, will be displayed here. What user has entered will be displayed here. If you click on login, you will be entering it. So this is a bit easier. That means you don't need to enter username and password every time. It will automatically. But still you have to click login. And the next level of supervision is using JSONWebToken. Using JSONWebToken, you don't need to enter username and the password also. Internally it will handle everything. Internally it will handle everything. No need to enter username and password also. But still it validates whether you are a valid user or not. And how it works basically. What actually happens whenever I am logging in for the first time, whenever I am logging in, I'll enter username and I'll enter password. Whenever I click on login for the first time, these details will be passed to the server. Server checks user is valid or invalid. If server is valid, if the user is valid, it will send the details. Along with the details, what it will do, it will generate a token. It will generate a token. That means first of all, it will detect which user is this. Detect which user is this, and every user will have ID, right? Every user will have ID. That ID will be converted into alphanumeric characters. That ID will be converted into alphanumeric characters and sent to client. That means what? Imagine the ID is 20, for example. This will be converted into uh, J H X Y L U O. Like this, it will be converted into alphanumeric characters, and it will be sent to the client. Now the client, what it will do, it will store this alphanumeric character, which is called as token, into local storage. To local storage. That means if Anil has logged in his credentials, username and password, and the server will send a JSON web token. JSON web token means alphanumeric characters. Will be sent to the client. Client will store it into local storage. Will store it into local storage. Next time, what actually happens? Next time, when you are trying to logging in, whatever the web token is stored earlier, the same will be sent to the server, and the server recognizes that as Anil. It will show Anil details. No need to enter username and password by Anil every time. That is the advantage of using the JSON web token. It is actually simplifying the login also. See, even as I said, I've just typed it. Into Gmail. Whether you type it into Gmail or Facebook or Instagram, it will not ask for the password every time. Facebook also, it will not ask for the password every time. Only one time it will ask. Remaining times also it will be checking it, but it will not ask you. How are they checking? Once you logging into it, they will be generating an JSON web token on your name and you'll be giving it to you. You will be storing it into your system to local storage. Next time you will be sending that token. That server will check the token whether it is valid or invalid, and based on that it will be. That's what JSON web token concept. And just to show you here, I will search. For JSON web token. JSON web token. And JSON web token will be something like this. So whatever the ID will be generated something like this. And for that there is a package available, JSON web token. Now see here, we can install npm install JSON web token, like that we can install it. And it has two methods, sign and verify. Sign will create web token, and verify will verify web token. Verify. I'll show you. You can understand it. So basically, what is happening here? Whenever I click on the, whenever I run the application, I am entering the username. I'm entering the username. I'm entering the password. I'm login. Then what is actually happening? It is coming to the middleware. In middleware, it is coming to this validate login. is coming to this validate login. In validate login, what we are doing? We are checking the username is valid or not, the password is valid or not. If username and password both are valid, what we are doing? We are sending the email, name, profile pic is logged in. This is the data we are sending. Now, if the username and the password is valid, along with this data, I wanted to send some more data, which is called as alphanumeric characters. We are calling it as token. Next time they will send that. So we will check it whether it is valid or not. Now what I will do? First of all, let me install JSONWebToken. Say npm install JWT. JWT means JSON. Install JSONWebToken. Package name is JSON. We have installed JSONWebToken. I have installed this JSONWebToken. Now, after installing, we have to import it. I'll say, for instance, JWT JSONWebToken we have installed. And now what I will do, I will use a method called sign. I will use a method called now. First of all, we have installed it, we have imported it. Then I will say sign. What exactly? And everything is asynchronous activity. JSONWebToken. What I will do, whenever user is typing username and the password, and if you click on login, we are getting it to validate login. We are getting it to validate the login, and here what we are doing, we are checking whether username and password is valid or not. We are checking. If username and the password is valid, what I wanted to do, I wanted to generate a token and send it to client. That means what I will do, select star from employees, the results we are getting it. Okay. Now what I will do, I will print this result, console log the result. Whatever the data we are getting from the server, I am printing it. Okay. When one successfully logged in, now I'll say npm star. Now I am entering username and the password. I'll click on login. Now if I come here and see, this is the data I got it from the server. ID 8, name Vishal, email vishal@gmail.com, and password, profile pic, timestamp, everything we are getting it. Now what I will do, Now what I will do, I'll say JWT dot sign. I'll say JWT dot sign, and the sign is a method which is useful to convert to the token. It is useful to convert to the token like this. JWT dot sign, and what I will do here, it is expecting two parameters. One is the object, and another is the secret. I'll tell you what is. So here, what I'll do, I'll say this ID I will take. I'll say ID results of 0 dot ID. Results of 0 dot ID. Basically, what I am doing here, I am passing the username and the password. I am passing the username and the password here, and if I click on login, server is receiving that username and the password and checking valid or invalid. And if it is valid, we are saying logged into, and we are sending the details. But I'm also, what I am doing, I am taking the ID, results of 0 of ID. I am taking the ID and I am giving that ID as an object to JWT.sign. What exactly it will do? It will create a token. It will create a token. But here you can give your own key. Key means, imagine 8 is the ID of the user. This will be, now 8 is the user, and I am giving something called a secret key. Anything you can give. Now based on these combinations, it will generate a token like this. Like this, it will be generating the token based on these two combinations. Verifying also, you need to give this secret key. Right? So now what I am doing, I am giving BRN capital as the secret key. That means the ID and this this secret key, we are passing it as second parameter. By combining these two things, it will be generating a token. Now I'll say await. I'll say let token like this. Now let me print this token. Now you will find a token. Now again I am entering I'm typing the login. I am clicking on login. Now see what happened. Are you able to see here? This is the token which is generated. How this token is generated? The ID of the user and BRN is the cap. Based on these two things, I have generated the token. And this token, I wanted to pass it to the client. So here, anyway, we are passing email, name, profile pic is logged in, and I will also pass token. Token is the key. Let's say token is the key. JWT token. I'll use the name JWT token. And I am passing that token. So if user is successfully logged in, depending upon the details of the user, we are generating the token and sending that token to the client. Sending that token to the client, and the client receives it here. Here, client receives it. Now I am coming here, client, SRC, components, login, and here what is happening? We are receiving the validate login, and we are receiving the data. Now this has that token. Now I can print it here. I can print it in the console. So I am printing it in the console. See, it is like this. If you join in a company, they will be giving you an ID. They will be giving you an email ID. They will be giving you an access card. If you show that access card, they will be allowing you to that company, right? Exactly the same thing. Once you logged in, if login is successful, we are generating the token and giving it to the client. Next time, that client will show the token every time instead of username and password by the user. Got my point? See, I wanted to go to a company. I am not an employee. Every day I have to show, I have to make a call, please allow this person, like that. I have to every day. But if I join as an employee, they'll be giving me an ID card. Every day I show that ID card, they will allow me inside. Exactly the same thing. Instead of entering the password and username every time, we can use this JWT. Logging will be easier. What we have done, we are logging it. If token is not there, we are typing username and the password, and once username and password is successful, we are getting the details from the database, and from the database we are taking the ID. Why I am taking the ID? ID is unique. I am taking that ID. Based on that ID, and I have added the key called BRN. Based on those two things, I am generating the token and I am sending the token to the client, which we are receiving it here. Now, if I right click and inspect it here, whatever the token is generated, we are sending it to the client. Now, say I'm clicking on login. Something is wrong. Token is not defined here. This is wrong because we have changed the name. Right? Now, what I will do, I'll click on login. Now, see, we are getting the email, we are getting is logged in through, we are getting name Vishal, we are getting profile pic, and this is the token also we are getting. This is the token we are getting it. So next time, instead of sending username and password to the server, I'll pass this token. It will check it whose user is this, and it will allow us to go into that without entering username and password directly. So now what I will do, token we are getting it. Now what I will do, once I receive the token in our application, I wanted to store that token into local storage. I wanted to store that into local storage. So every time if I enter the page, I wanted to get the token and send it to client. Now what I will do, I'll say local storage dot set item. It's a token. What I will do, JSO data dot token. JSO data dot JSO data dot token. So that means if I enter username and the password, that is validating. Yes, user is valid. If the user is valid, it's sending the details of the user, like email, is logged in or not, profile pic, and all those things. That is generating the token and send. Next time token is sufficient. No need to enter username and the password. So now we have received the token and we have stored it into local storage. That means what is actually happening. Now if I click on login, we are getting this token. That token we are storing it into local storage also. Now I can come here. I'll click on this application, and the local storage are able to see. Vishal is the password, email is the password, and the token we are storing. And the next time what I will do, whenever I enter into this login page, I will collect the token which is in the local storage and I will send it to the server. And the server will validate the token and send the details. Got it? Now, what I will do in our login component, this is the starting page. In our login component, what actually is happening whenever the component loads, whenever we click on the login button, we are sending the details. Yes or no? Whenever we click on the login button, we are calling this validate login. In validate login, we are collecting the values from that input and we are sending it. Server is deciding. Now, what I will do, I will create one more function. We'll select validate token. Validate token. Let's say validate token. Now I wanted to send this token. I wanted to send this token to the server. Right? I can send through post. So now what I will do? First of all, I have to come to the server and I have to create a function to validate the token. So I am creating one more. I'll say router dot post. I'll say validate token. If user is entering username and the password, we will be using this. If you already user is entered, no need of entering username and the password. So I'll validate token and I'll say upload dot none. That means I don't want it to pass any. I don't want it to accept any files. And I'll say request underscore. I'm doing it. Now what I will do? Let token received token is equal to request dot body dot received token is equal to request dot body dot token. We will be sending from here. Once we receive the token, now I want it to validate this token is valid or invalid. This token is valid or invalid. So what I will do, I'll say JWT dot verify dot verify. JWT dot sign is for creating the token. JWT dot sign is for creating the token based on the values. JWT dot verify is useful for validating the token. It's for validating the token. Now what I will do, if I go this, if I come here, you can see there is a method called verify. Are you able to see? Verify here the token we are giving, the secret key, that BRN, what we have given there, the same thing we have to give. So that received token, I am giving it. And the secret key, BRN, I am giving it. Because that is the same thing. Using whatever the token it is generating, we are adding BR into it. We are adding BR and it generating the token, and we are adding BR and retrieving the token back, converting to normal. So once we use this, we are generating I ID. Earlier, based on ID, we have generated the token. Now, then I'll say let generated ID is equal to this we are getting it. Right? Naturally, I have to write let me print it. Console log generated generated ID. Now, let us see what I will do. For this, I wanted to set what I will do here from client side. I'm getting this validate token. In this validate token, first of all, I'll say let storage dot get item will be token. So what I will do, first of all, I wanted to send it to the post and say let JSON data equal to await fetch. I can use fetch or I can use actually same thing I can use. I'll say fetch the URL of that API endpoint which is localhost 6767 localhost 6767 validate okay is the URL. Now I have to pass the form data. So what I will do, I'll say let request options equal to method post. Then body, for this body I have to give the form data. So what I will do, I'll say let form data is equal to new form data, and I'll say fd dot append, and I'll give in token. The value will be local storage dot get item token. Whatever we have stored it into the local storage, we are getting it, and I am adding that to form data, and that form data I am passing it to the server. And here Basically, what we are doing, whatever the token we have already generated and stored it in local storage, getting that, and I'm sending it to the server to validate. Then I'll say let JSO data is equal to await JSON data. Then I'll say console log JSO data. Okay. Now we are sending on whenever I call this validate token, we are automatically getting from the what do we say, from the local storage and sending it to the server. And I wanted to call this on load on the component. So here what I will do, we already have use effect. In this use effect, what I will do, in this use effect, I will call this validate. Okay. I am calling this validate token. Got your point? So whenever the component loads, this validate token will be called, and it will be sending it to the server. It will be collecting the data and sending it to the server. Now we will be able to receive it here. Be able to receive it in our validate token. Now let us see. Now I am just refreshing it. I'll just refresh it. Now let us see. It should have passed by now. Now if I come here and see, are able to see? The generated ID is generated. Are able to see? What is happening? The token we are receiving it. From the token we are generating the object. This is an object with ID 8. Understanding? Now see here, while generating the token, this is generating the token. We are passing an object. Object has ID. We are passing an object. That object has key ID. Here also we are getting an object, and we are getting that ID, which is 8. Now we came to know that the user who is logged in is ID 8. Now I will be getting the details based on that ID and send it to the part. That means what I will do, once we get the details, once we get the ID, generated ID, what I will do, I will create the connection dot connection dot query, and here I wanted to get the details of the user based on the ID generated by this. So I will be creating the query. Let SQL query equal to from, what is the name of the table? Employees. Let's start from employees, where ID equal to let's say dollar. I'll say generated ID dot ID. This is the object we are getting. That object has ID. Now this is the query which is generating. Now I'll be printing that query here, and this will be giving this. I'm giving it here. and I will say error if there is any, then what I will do, if error is there, I am sending response.json error I am sending. If no error is there, what I wanted to send? I wanted to send the details of the user. What are the details I wanted to send? The same details, like what we have done there. Name, email, the details I wanted to send. JSON, results of email, results of name, profile pic is logged in. So we are validating user is valid or invalid using two ways. One is user has to type the username and password, click on login, and then there is already token is generated. We are checking that token is valid or not based on that. Now it should work now. Let us see. If I refresh it, we are getting details of the. I haven't entered any username or password. Based on the token, it is happening. So user is entering username and password. If I click on login, the token is not there. It is generating the token and storing it into the local host, the local storage. Next time, whenever the component loads, we are getting the token from the local storage and sending it to the server. Server is validating the token is valid or invalid and sending the details. And if is logged in true, I wanted to go to next step. So what I will do here, whatever the logic we have implemented here, validate login, what we are doing here, if login is true, we are going to the dashboard screen, right? Exactly the same thing we are going to do it now. Validate token. Once we get the data, if logged in is true, what we are doing, so if logged in is true, then we are going to other thing. Basically, we are authenticating user is valid or invalid in two ways. One way is type the username, type the password, click on the login button, then collect those values, sending it to the server and check whether valid or invalid. That is one way. And another way is whenever user logged in, we are generating the token based on that user ID. We are storing it into the local storage. Next time, whenever the component loads, we are collecting that token and passing it to the server, checking that the token is valid or invalid based on that. Now, if everything works fine, it should not ask for a username and the password. It should automatically go. Next. Now, I'm just refreshing it. Let us see. It is going actually. But why again it is coming back and doing all this stuff? We have to dispatch it. On click of the login button, we are getting the data, we are dispatching it, and the server is storing. Store is storing true. But that is not happening in this case properly. If you observe here, we are dispatching it. Yeah, dispatching it. Here also I will dispatch. also dispatch. Type login, validate. Yes, okay. Now, see what happens. Say I'm logging into it. Direct. It is directly coming into it means it is still validating whether user is valid or invalid. Valid or invalid. It's like this. As I said, once you go to the company, they will be giving you an ID. Every time you have to show that ID to go to canteen, to go to any other office, something like that. Here also the same. See, if you want now, you wanted to get a license, you have to show Aadhaar card. You wanted to get a passport, you have to show Aadhaar card. You wanted to get PAN card, you have to show Aadhaar card. So what they have done, they have generated an ID to you, and you have to show that ID everywhere to get your service system. Got a point? See, once you give your Aadhaar ID, no need to give card actually. Aadhaar number is sufficient. If you give that number, they have all the details related to that number. In the same way, what we are doing, once the user is entering username and the password for the first time, we are sending it to the server. We are generating the ID of that user basically. We call it as token. That token we are sending it to the client. Now the client is storing into local storage. Every time a user is coming to this page, whenever the component loads, we are taking the token and sending it to the server. And the server is validating it. If it is valid, it is setting the details. Got my point? This concept is called JSONWebToken. And this is useful to simplify the login. No need to enter username and password also. As I said earlier also, I am just typing Gmail. It is not asking my username and the password. Even they are following the same approach. I have logged in I have given my username and the password one time only. They have generated the ID and stored it into my local system. And they are storing it. Every time they are validating based on that. Facebook also works the same way. Type facebook.com. You no need to enter your username and password every time. Once you have to enter it for the first time, then they are generating this token and storing it into your system. They are not generating the token and storing it into the database. They are storing it into your system only, local system. You can improvise this a bit more further also. That means what? Right now we are checking user is valid or invalid only at the time of logging in. If I click on tasks, normally what I should get, I should get the details of the tasks, how many tasks assigned, how many completed, how many not completed, all those things. For that I have to send the request. I have to get the response. If you wanted to validate for each and every request also, you can do that. Each and every request also you can do that. How? Whenever you are sending the request, you pass that token to the server. For every request, you pass the token. Every request, you pass the token. And in the server, for every request, you validate the token. You create a middleware function. We discussed middleware function, express middleware. For every request, it will be called. So you can validate that request, whether it is valid or invalid, and based on that, you can send the response. That means now it's like this, just to show you what I am doing it here. Here I am validating token, and I am just using a wait fetch like that. I am doing it. Now I can use Axios also. I can use Axios. Now Axios is, I think it is not installed. Uninstalled. Let me check it. Axios is not installed in this case, in client point of view. So what I'll do, I'll say npm install Axios. I am installing Axios. Now server communication, I wanted to do it using Axios. So what I will do, so once Axios is installed, I am importing Axios. I'm coming to login. In login, what I'm doing, info Axios, Axios command. I'm importing Axios from Axios. And what I will do, this is a login component. I wanted to go to app.js. I wanted to go to app.js. This is the starting point. So here what I will do, here even if I want, I can import Axios here also. Info Axios from Axios. And what I will do, here also I can get that local token net which is generated. So what I will do here, I'll go to Axios website. Axios. And here, what I will do, I will use the Axios defaults. Axios defaults are able to see Axios.defaults.headers.common.authorization token. Authorization token basically. I will copy this. Copy this. And I will paste it here. And here I'll give the token. Here I'll give the token. What is the token? Local storage dot get item token. I'm giving it. That means what? Each and every request I am sending it to the server through Axios, this token will be added for each and every request. Now here in the login also, what I am doing, validate token. Instead of using fetch, I will use Axios dot post. That's it. Axios dot post the URL, and then there is first option. Like the form data I wanted to pass. Delete. Now basically I don't need this. I don't need this. Even I don't need this also. Conversion also I don't need it. And I wanted to dispatch what I'll change the name to response. Here I'll say response dot data. Dot data. Here response dot data dot is logged in is true. We are going all this. Response dot data. Response.data.message I have given it. So now basically what is happening? I am sending the request. I am sending the request using Axios. I am sending the request using Axios. And while I am sending the request using Axios, what I am doing? I am adding that authorization token. I am adding that authorization token. Once I add that authorization token, what actually happens? It comes to the server. It comes to the server. You are new student. You are new student. What's your name? Which batch? New batch. 220, 27th batch. Yeah, you can go inside. This is different batch. Understanding what I am doing? Now I am sending it to the server using Axios. I am passing the authorization token for each and every request from Axios. And when it comes to here, we can create a middleware. We can create a middleware. Express middleware, remember? I can create a middleware. What I will do, I'll come here. Express, we have imported it. App is there. Now I'll say I'll create a function. Let validate token. Validate auth token. Validate token in any language. A function is a middleware function basically. Then here we'll be having request, response, and next will be there. And inside this, what I will do, I will be getting that token. Request dot. I think headers we have to use. How are we sending? Headers dot common dot authorization. We can get that token from here, from the request. Once you get that token, you build the logic to validate it. Whether it is valid or invalid. We have checked it right using verify. Then you just use this validate token app dot use validate. That means what is actually happening internally. Every request we are sending from client, passing the token. For every request we are passing the token. And here I have created a method as a middleware method. For every request we receive, we will be validating it whether it is valid or invalid. If it is invalid, we will say invalid or something like that. So normal login, only at the time of username and password you can validate it. But using this token, each and every request also you can validate whether it is valid or invalid. Understanding the concept? Whatever I have written to check the token is valid or invalid, the same thing you have to write it. That means JWT dot verify, JSONWebToken dot verify. Like that I have to write. Not much. Extra space time will be taken, but not much. Got it? I want you to try this. This JSON web token. Okay. Understood what is .env and what is JSON web token. Because you joined late, you just get the recording. If you have any questions, just get us. Yes, Vishal, do you have any questions?
Sir, it is a previous class, sir. Sir, in previous class you told that you need to write the style statement one time, and you can execute it in those different components. So will you show it how can we implement the style component?
Nav link you are talking about.
Yes, so it's about previous last class.
Last class, what we have discussed.
You told that nav link, sir. It's about nav link.
You have questions about nav link.
No, sir, not the question. I want to know how can we write that single statement and we can pass it to those nav links, sir.
See, first of all, nav link has the ability whether that displaying page is that link or not.
Yes. Yes, sir.
So if it is that same link, it will give us a value saying is active to true. If it is not the same link, it will say is active to false. So what we can do, we can write a function which returns an object, style object, basically background color or whatever it is. If it is active, you give some different style like background color. Otherwise, you don't give anything like that. Now, just to show you here, I think we have used it in top navigation. In top navigation, what we are doing in each and every nav link we are creating, we are checking whether it is the same link or not. The current page which is showing is of this link or not. If it is of that link, we are returning a style object, background color, and the background color is crimson and the color is white. We are giving. Otherwise, we are not giving anything. Got it, Vishal?
Yes, sir. Sir, I tried in this way, sir. Means I have given a function in navlink, and in that function I have given style statements. Means like means I pass style objects. It is giving error, sir.
You do one thing. You give me that in the next session. You just show me that work. I'll just tell you what is the issue.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
This JSONWebToken also very important. If you feel complicated, you just try it multiple times. You just go through the recording. It is simple here. JSONWebToken simplifies the logging and improves the security. Both it will be doing. How it simplifies the login? Once user logs in, it will generate the token and gives it to the client, which will be stored it into the local storage. And every time it will be sending that token. So no need to enter username and the password again. That is how it simplifies it. And the same token, you can use it for each and every request also. If an application has 100 requests, for each and every request also you can send it. For each and every request also, the middleware, Express middleware can validate it. Whether the token is valid or invalid, then from there it can be done. If we go in detail, we are generating the token, right? We can generate expiry time for the token also. That means 1 hour. After 1 hour, that token will not work. The server will not respond properly. The server will show it is not a valid. Please log in again, like that. Got my point? For banking application, the limit of the token will be 1 minute or 2 minutes will be there because of the high security. For bigger applications like Gmail, 1 month, 2 months will be there. You can create expiry date also if you want it, but I haven't used any expiry for that. If you want, you can do that. That we have to pass it as a parameter. Third parameter. We are passing 2 parameters. One is that object, and there is the secret key. The third parameter is the expiry. How much time you want. Let me create the. They will be giving me an API. You have to use that. You call that API, they will automatically generate the OTP and set. You have to pass the number as a parameter. Okay, guess back. Thanks. That's good. You create a store separate file, export it and import. See, most of the Redux examples are like that only. But if I show you all the things, you make it feel more complicated. That's why I haven't done. You can do that. There's a problem. I mean, lunchtime.